We've been fed a beautiful lie for far too long, told that kindness is an unconditional synonym for strength. They convinced you, be more patient, show more understanding, become good enough, and people will surely appreciate it. Respond with respect and care. But the harsh truth many fear to acknowledge looks completely different. Your decency is cynically used against you, turning your best qualities into vulnerabilities. Remember every time you agreed when everything inside screamed to refuse? Or when you sacrificed your interests in faint hope of gratitude? Every time you bend over backward for people who wouldn't lift a finger for you, you're not building a foundation for respect, you're actually giving people a step-by-step instruction manual on how to use you. And you probably don't even notice how this mechanism pulls you deeper. We grew up on fairy tales about being humble, turning the other cheek, and waiting for good to return to you. These are beautiful, lofty ideals, but popular motivational quotes omit the main thing. In real human relationships and careers, the world works by completely different laws. The trap of excessive availability. When you're endlessly nice and always available, people stop seeing your real value, perceiving your infallibility simply as a convenient function. Look carefully at your circle, those for whom you're ready to drop everything, whom you help without questions or doubts. Now honestly ask yourself, would they do the same for you if the situation reversed? If you hesitated even a second, you already know the answer. By becoming too convenient and understanding, you don't become someone respected and admired, but someone simply used as needed. I'm not saying this to offend, but to show the real state of affairs. The one who's always available, ready to listen to complaints at 3 a.m. and sacrifice their sleep, rarely gets recognition. People are wired not to value what comes free. Respect is earned only by what has a price and clear boundaries. If you're available 24/7, your time becomes devalued and your consent loses weight because you never say no. When the gates are always open, people stop feeling gratitude and start considering your help their legal privilege. Virtue without power is invisible. You can be the most honest, loyal, and pure-souled person on the planet, but without leverage, your virtues will go unnoticed. No matter how much we want to believe that good deeds are self-valuable and integrity speaks for itself, in reality, people respect concrete results and weight of words, not just good intentions. History is full of examples of worthy people crushed by circumstances simply because they lack the power to defend their principles. In the real world, kindness without leverage is invisible. Your brilliant ideals will be appropriated by someone more assertive. Friends can betray you without blinking, and in personal relationships, lack of standards will lead to you simply ceasing to be noticed as a person. I'm not saying this to offend, but to show the real state of affairs. The one who's always available, ready to listen to complaints at 3 a.m. and sacrifice their sleep, rarely gets recognition. People are wired not to value what comes free. Respect is earned only by what has a price and clear boundaries. If you're available 24/7, your time becomes devalued and your consent loses weight because you never say no. When the gates are always open, people stop feeling gratitude and start considering your help their legal privilege. You taught them to use you. The uncomfortable truth is that you're used exactly as long as you don't set boundaries. You yourself taught others to expect everything from you while offering nothing in return, and now you're reaping the fruits of this strategy. It might have seemed you were showing true kindness, being the perfect friend or partner, but in reality you were broadcasting a dangerous message. You can be disregarded. When you allow people to use your compliance without any consequences, they start taking it for granted, which is why you now feel a lack of respect, not understanding why no one values your sacrifice. Even the highest moral principles and pure intentions are devalued if you appear weak in others' eyes. Your ethics become grounds for mockery, not admiration, because the world is cruel and rarely respects those who merely complain about injustice, but continue giving chances to unworthy people. Machiavelli's truth about perception. Machiavelli grasped a truth many stubbornly reject. How you're perceived is far more important than who you are inside, and weakness always provokes attack. History is full of examples when victory went not to the morally right side, but to the one that understood the mechanics of power and was ready to apply force. This doesn't mean ethics don't matter. It means that without firm character capable of defending it, any values will inevitably be crushed by more aggressive players. We constantly observe this scenario in personal relationships when someone forgives betrayal and endures neglect, mistakenly believing their patience is nobility. But reality is such that life rewards not those who meekly endure blows, but those who know when to leave and close the door. The ability to firmly say, "I love you, but I value myself more," and refusal to participate in your own humiliation, this isn't cruelty, but the highest form of self-respect which others read instantly. Human nature seeks advantage. The more good you give without establishing firm boundaries, the more people will test you. This happens not from malice, but from basic human nature. We're wired to seek expansion and look for benefit until we meet resistance. So when you silently accept someone else's work or disrespect, you only reinforce this behavior pattern. You yourself teach people that your resources are unlimited and free, and they'll use this until you decide to put an end to it. Many remain hostages to this vicious circle, convincing themselves that protecting personal boundaries makes them selfish or bad people. You continue sacrificing yourself, hoping that one day others will see the light and appreciate your contribution. But this will never happen because you yourself devalued yourself in their eyes. It's critically important to realize a simple truth. Access to your time, energy, and attention is a privilege to be earned, not an unconditional right of everyone you meet. What real strength means. Machiavelli didn't teach people to be evil. He merely explained how to survive in a world where powerless kindness is doomed. Your values and ethics need reliable protection. Otherwise, you'll become easy prey for those lacking moral principles. It's extremely important to understand what actually means possessing strength in the context of human relationships. Real strength is complete self-control and ownership of your own choices, not the ability to manipulate people. It's clear understanding of when to give and when to refuse, and the ability, without hesitation, to cut off everything that doesn't serve your interests. In practice, this is expressed in the ability to say no without the slightest guilt. It's calmly refusing favors you don't want to do and declining invitations that don't interest you. You simply protect your time and personal space without apologizing, without justifying, and without feeling you owe anyone an account of your decisions. Strength is manifested in determination to leave where there's no reciprocity, break one-sided friendships, end exhausting relationships, or quit a job where you're devalued. Even if it's scary, even if you're pressured with guilt, the ability to choose yourself and leave despite everything is the highest manifestation of character. Kindness from strength versus weakness. Many mistakenly take for strength loudness, aggression, and attempts to control everyone around them, but in reality, this is just insecurity dressed in armor of significance. True strength is always quiet and calm. It's the ability to maintain balance when others lose their heads and firmly hold your boundaries without unnecessary noise and hysterics. When you gain this strength based on self-respect, your kindness transforms. It stops being weakness that's exploited and becomes a quality genuinely admired. Now your forgiveness, generosity, and help have weight because people know you're kind not because you're afraid to be different, but because you yourself, from a position of strength, chose this path. The internal motive determines everything. People possess an amazing ability to sense falsehood and always understand what actually stands behind your actions. Others intuitively read whether you're sharing from an abundance of spiritual strength or acting led by fear and duty. This difference is fundamental. When kindness comes from a strong and self-confident person, it's highly valued, but the same softness dictated by weakness is inevitably abused. The protection of virtue. Machiavelli understood this simple truth, as did any other influential figure in world history. Virtue itself is beautiful, but without clearly defined boundaries, it turns into vulnerability. Being magnanimous doesn't mean being a naive fool, and showing mercy doesn't mean sacrificing your own dignity. You can possess the brightest qualities, but must have enough firmness to protect them from encroachments, making others think twice before showing you disrespect. This isn't about betraying your nature or turning into a callous cynic, but about building reliable defense around your personality and not allowing the world to punish you for decency. If we face the truth, right now your patience and generosity often become grounds for exploitation, and this scenario will repeat endlessly until you willfully put an end to it. Conclusion: choose strength. It's necessary to realize that the ability to forgive isn't identical to tolerance of betrayal, and kindness shouldn't turn you into a convenient target for manipulators. You can remain sensitive, understanding, and generous, but you must possess an inner core, rigid standards, and inviolable boundaries. Remember that kindness devoid of strength ceases to be virtue and becomes simply defenselessness before those accustomed to taking without giving anything in return. The world doesn't need more compliant victims who are used and discarded. Society requires strong individuals who choose mercy consciously from a position of strength, not from desperation. True strength lies in helping others by your own will, not from fear of judgment, and forgiving offenses because you're confident enough to let the situation go, not because you're afraid to demand better treatment. You must become a person who doesn't abandon their principles, but starts caring for themselves with the same dedication with which they care for others. Stop giving your energy to those who don't deserve it, and stop tolerating behavior you would never allow yourself. Machiavelli never called for unjustified cruelty. He merely taught seeing reality without embellishment and protecting your nobility with strength so it could survive in an aggressive environment that will inevitably try to break it. Ask yourself an honest question. Is your kindness an act of free will or the result of fear of conflict? And do people respect your boundaries, or have you simply forgotten to establish them? The answers to these questions will become your compass, showing where you are now and what exactly needs to change to gain genuine respect. We conclude this conversation with the main thought. Self-respect is the foundation on which all the rest of life is built, from career to personal relationships. By ceasing to be convenient for everyone, you don't become evil, you become whole. And it's precisely this shift in consciousness that distinguishes a victim of circumstances from a master of their fate. I can be kind while remaining strong.